Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today we'll be watching a video titled Primary Teacher Learns About the Prophets of Islam! Exclamation mark. Muhammed Ali Speaker's Corner. This is by the channel called The Muslim Lantern. Without further ado, let's watch.
Primary teacher.
Primary teacher,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just interested to share with my children in school. And
That's
talk about
interesting.
things.
So are you Christian or what religion are you
Yeah,
following?
Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know the difference between Islam and Christianity? I'm assuming you do.
I do know a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think about Jesus? Because I speak with a lot of Christians, and depending on the type of Christian they are, they have their own understanding and belief about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So what is your position on Jesus? How do you see Jesus yourself?
Big question for a Friday night.
I think a lot of people say that. I don't know why a lot of people say that usually.
Why is it a big question? Isn't it a fundamental, easy, straightforward question from the perspective of what you believe in? Or is it because there are various interpretation and perspective within those who claim to be Christian?
He was someone who was kind and did good things in the world.
Okay, that's good.
And beyond that, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about anything more than that.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say?
Interesting. She didn't mention about Jesus being God, right? Isn't that shouldn't that be the first thing that comes out?
Let me put it to you this way. Do you think there was a difference between Moses and Jesus? Meaning of the role that they came to do. Do you think there's a difference between the roles, right?
No.
You don't think so, right? So Islamically, what you believe is what we believe, right?
Yeah.
So we believe Moses was a messenger.
So she is a Christian, but essentially she believes Jesus is a prophet. How many Christians are like that? Meaning, if you are Christian and you know many Christian, your friends, etc., how many Christians actually claim and actually believe, not just making claims, but they actually believe and belong to Christianity. But actually, if you converse with them, they actually have the image of Jesus being a prophet. How many of this? Because I've seen quite a number of videos where Christians claim to be Christians, but the description of Jesus from their perspective is a prophet. Interesting. To me, it's interesting because I thought it is universally. You cannot claim to be Christian without saying Jesus is a savior, is a God, etc. Right?
Of God, Abraham was, and Jesus was, and Prophet Muhammad Ali, peace be upon all of them. They were all messengers of God. They're chosen by the Creator. Their message, as you said, to bring goodness into the world, to teach people about the Creator, and to bring them closer to God, right? And they're not the main focus of their message. God is the main focus of their message. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree.
Sure. So that's very interesting. You're closer to Islam, What do you think about Prophet Muhammad then? If you're very close like this,
I know less about Muhammad, I would say.
Okay, let me tell you a few things if you
I'd love
like to
to.
hear. So we believe Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca, Saudi Arabia today, and he lived with his people for 40 years prior to him receiving revelation from God. So we believe when he was 40 years old, he received revelation from the Creator. Before that, he did not receive revelation, right? When he lived amongst his people for 40 years, they gave him two titles. They said As-Sadiq al-Amin in Arabic, which means the trustworthy, the honest. They titled him, they gave him these titles, right? So whenever they had a dispute amongst each other, used to go to him. So for example, the Kaaba, the house in Mecca where Muslims go for pilgrimage, right? This was a holy place even for the Arabs before Islam. Because from the time of Abraham, we believe Abraham built that house, right? Or rebuilt that house. So it was still a holy place for the Meccans, for the people of Mecca. So when they were rebuilding it, they were kind of, because it's an honor to rebuild the house of God, literally, right? So they didn't know who should put the last stone. So they were in dispute. So what they did, they went to Prophet Muhammad. This is before revelation, right? So they went to him, they said we're having this issue. So what he did is he brought a cloth, he put the stone there, and he said to everyone, come, hold a piece of the cloth, and then we can walk together and we can put the stone. Then he put the stone himself, and that's it, So then he settled all of the dispute that happened, right? When people used to travel, they used to leave their belongings with him because they know he's a trustworthy, he's an honest person, right? So this was his character before receiving revelation. And what's very interesting there is that when revelation comes to you, it comes to someone who you lived with for 40 years is different than someone who just you met for the first day, you don't know anything about, right?
Yeah.
So if I know you for 40 years, I know how you live, I know your character. If you come to me with a message, I can come closer to you if you're an honest person, or move away from you if you're not an honest person, right? Because no one claims prophethood unless you are completely an honest, sincere person, or you're the worst of the people. I don't think there's the opposite, right? If you claim prophet, you're either this or you're either that, right? So Prophet Muhammad then received revelation. The people at his time used to worship idols, so make idols from stone and etc.
Okay, so that in terms of the character, right? So that's one discussion where I asked before. In Christianity, there are prophets. Can prophet have a very flawed character, very problematic moral character? Is that possible in Christianity for a prophet selected by God, but a very problematic character that the society know him as a problematic character? would that make sense? Because in Islam it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So in the Christianity, does it make sense? I have heard from few of you some of your opinion about that, but for those who haven't, comment on that, feel free to comment.
And you used to worship them. Prophet Muhammad did not believe God is an idol. And there is a funny story I'll tell you about. There was one of the people who used to worship idols at the time of Mecca, and then a dog came and he pissed on the idol when he was worshiping the idol. Then the man, he started chasing the dog. When he was chasing the dog, he thought in his mind, why am I chasing the dog? Why am I worshiping a dog that could not defend himself? I need to defend him from a dog, right? Yeah. So they were thinking, but they still came back again. He came back to worship again the idols, right? So Prophet Muhammad, he believed that these are not gods. God is not a piece of rock that you make with your own hand, right? So he used to go into a cave called the Cave of Hira, and he used to meditate or think about the Creator, try to worship God in the way that he can, right? Yeah. Then one day in the Cave of Hira, he got an encounter with Angel Gabriel. You know about Angel Gabriel from the Christian tradition? He got an encounter with Angel Gabriel, and Angel Gabriel told him to recite. So he did not understand. So he said to him, recite again, and then Angel Gabriel recited to him the first chapter of the Quran, the first verse that was revealed from the Quran, right? Which is Iqra. Yeah. The first verse is read, or recite, right? So we were very keen to reading and reciting and learning, right? So then Prophet Muhammad came to his wife. He was scared. When you have this supernatural experience, imagine you met an angel or you met some supernatural being. How shocked would you be, right? Very shocked, right? So he came back to his wife and he said, Zambiluni, cover me, because he was scared. So his wife covered him. Then he told his wife what happened. Then his wife said to him something very interesting. She said, God will never do any harm to you. Why? Because you're good to the people, you're honest. She started mentioning the good things that he does, and she said, God will never want any harm with you. So don't be afraid of the encounter that you had, because this is not something bad, because God will not want any harm with you, right? Then he went to her cousin, who's called Waraq ibn Nawfal, who was learned actually in the Judeo-Christian tradition. So he used to read the Hebrew Bible, and he used to read the scriptures, right? So he said to him, the angel that came to you is the same angel that came to Moses. So he confirmed to Prophet Muhammad that the angel that came to you, Angel Gabriel, is the same angel that came and brought revelation to Prophet Moses, right? Then Prophet Muhammad then was commanded to start delivering the message. Allah commanded him, he said, "Qum fa understand," and then deliver the message to the people, right? Away from idol worship, away from evil that they had in that time. Because, before Islam, for example, women were very oppressed before Islam. So women used to be buried alive, babies, they didn't like baby women, right? They didn't have any inheritance. Whenever they have a female child, they're completely miserable. Why? Because at that time it's all about wars and fighting. So if you don't have a man to fight, you have a woman, you're not happy. You get the point, right? So Islam came, gave all of these rights to women, give them right of inheritance, right to property. By the way, here in the UK, until the 1800s, women did not have the right to own property. Imagine in the UK, 1,400 years ago, Prophet Muhammad gave that right? So Prophet Muhammad started then telling the people to move away from idol worship and to worship one Creator alone. Same message of Jesus, same message of Abraham, same message of all the messengers of God. Then his people said, no, we don't accept you. He went to the top of a mountain and he said, if I told you there's an army behind this mountain, would you believe me? He said, yes, we never known you to lie. He said, I'm the messenger of God. He said, we're not accept you. Why did he say that about the army? Because we know me for 40 years, so I'm not going to lie to you, right? So then Prophet Muhammad was persecuted for 13 years in Mecca. So when he was preaching the message, he had only the weak people.
That's an interesting event in the seerah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he actually have proven with that, the first question that he asked, that no one questioned his honesty. They have known him for 40 years. No one would ever question him in his honesty, including if he bring forth a story or no, a warning about imminent danger of, a whole army behind the hill, right? So he have tested in the same context, right? He didn't say that, would you trust me if I say that I have 2 cows or whatever, right? He said, if there's an imminent danger of huge army, I'm saying that, would you trust me fully? You're fully trustworthy, you will never lie about that. And he bring forth the warning about the imminent danger if you continue to worship idol, etc., right? And suddenly they reject because it's attacking their belief, etc., right? So there's no question about people rejecting Prophet Muhammad SAW because his character, because he might be lying, etc. Right, so that same character we believe about all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including Jesus, Moses, Noah, etc.
Started believing him and following him. Other people were persecuting them, the Prophet, and his companions were killed. Some of his companions were killed, right? He's been persecuted continuously. He had to leave Mecca and go to Medina, right? To migrate to Medina. After 13 years of persecution, God gave him the permission to go and go to Medina, right? And he was traveling and he left migrating because they were trying to kill him that time, right? So this was the life of Prophet Muhammad. Most of his life was persecuted for 30 years. And then 10 years at Medina, he was also trying to spread the message to the people around, and then people were trying to come and attack him. So the people in Mecca, they came after him, they attacked him multiple times, right? But the key most important thing thing is this, right? His message was a message of honesty and truth. His message was a message of worshiping the Creator alone. This teachings that we have in common, be good to your neighbor. Prophet Muhammad said, Angel Gabriel came to me so much telling me about the neighbor that I thought my neighbor is going to take my inheritance. He's going to take a part of inheritance. You know, so much that the angel keep coming for him. It's like a family member, you know. So all of these teachings were the teachings of Prophet Muhammad. Which then we say, look, Prophet Muhammad did not bring anything new. And that's what the Quran teaches. Allah says, "Ma kuntu bid'an min ar-rusul." Say, I'm not an innovation of messengers. Meaning, I'm not a new thing. I'm not someone who innovated all of this idea. But I'm coming in a line of messengers and prophets that came with the same message that I came with, right? So the same message that Abraham came with, the same message that Moses came with, the same message that all of the messengers of God came with. So Islam is about that. Accepting all the messengers of God, not to accept some of them and reject some of them, right? Because it's a problem. You've got the disagreements between the Christians and the Jews, for example.
On the point that Prophet Muhammad SAW just bring forth the same truths as the truths that is being brought forth by the previous messenger, hence it should be the same. I'm not sure whether that is understood by many Christians, because many Christians actually kind of commented to me that, you know, what is the originality of what is the teaching of Muhammad, right? And they criticize Islam because it doesn't have any original message, which is weird to me, because perhaps from Christian perspective that may make sense if you want to accept Christianity, because message of Christianity is original, right? Suddenly, like never before that God will send down Jesus or part of God to die for your sin. That has never been any of the previous message, and of course it's original. But logically, the truth, the same truth from the beginning of time, from the first human being until the end, shouldn't it be the same truth? Or suddenly, originally this is the truth, suddenly there's a new truth, original truth? That wouldn't make sense, right? Because it should be consistent from the beginning until the end. That's how I see it.
The Jews they reject Jesus. Christians say no, we will accept Jesus, right? Muslims say we accept Jesus, Moses and Abraham, all of them, right? This is how people should be, right? So this is what we invite people to. Being a Muslim means that you submit yourself to the one Creator alone, the Creator of the heavens and the earth. We use the term Allah because the word Allah is unique in Arabic. Do you know why? It does not have a feminine or a plural. Like, God, Goddess, and Gods. Allah is just unique, right? That's why we use that term, because it describes the Creator in the best fashion possible, right? So we say the message of Islam is to worship Allah, worship the Creator Allah, to obey the revelation that comes to you. So we affirm that Jesus had the revelation from God. Moses had the revelation from God. Abraham had a revelation from God. That revelation that might have been changed a little bit throughout the time. People have been changed a little bit for personal gain or whatever reasons, right? But we say the Quran is the last and final revelation that came. That's why Allah preserved it completely, did not allow anyone to change it. Muslims memorize, billions of Muslims around the world, they memorize the Quran from beginning to end, from A to Z, so they can recite it to you from memory, right? That's why we know no one can change this. If you throw all the books in the sea, people memorize the Quran in the memory.
For you,
Yeah, absolutely. We memorize it because it's we believe it's the word of the Creator, right? So
I'm gonna have to be so rude.
No, it's okay.
I'm going to
It's
this,
okay.
and it's so interesting to
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
Right,
I'll let you go. I know your friend is waiting for you. It's okay. I'm sorry. I took a lot of your time.
Okay.
So we're inviting you to Islam. If you read the Quran, if it makes sense to you, it's very easy to become Muslim. If you want to come back and you want to be Muslim, we're happy. There's no problem about it. You can give it a read. I said you.
Inshallah, we pray that the lady would read on, etc. Because the belief why that she shared early on, it's very close already, right? So may Allah give her hidayah, guidance, and she will accept Islam. And inshallah, even though one fantasy, right, is that many of the people that embrace Islam, or in the videos, many people that I have seen that become Muslim, some I've seen that they have potentially, hopefully become Muslim, but not in the video, and I just make dua. Hopefully we can meet in heaven, in paradise, in the hereafter, and I can share. I saw your video, etc. Right? I'm not sure. Perhaps because in a hadith, in a verse on the Quran, said that in heaven, in paradise, we are too busy with enjoying all the bounty, all the joy, all the ni'mah, right, that Allah have given there, that maybe we the thing that I've said just now, it becomes too small to disturb my busyness of enjoying myself there, right? So I don't know, but some of the enjoyment is actually reminiscing our past in this test, in this life, inshallah. So that's just additional point there. So I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.